Call to order the City of Douglasville Legislative Work Session for Thursday, March 15, 2018. Invocation today will be led by Dr. James Harper of the First Presbyterian Church, and Councilman Terry Miller will then lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I appreciate you guys giving me a second chance. I was reflecting on how possible I could lose an hour of time. My orthopedic doctor explained to me why. I think unintentionally, as I called them, been several years since I had an appointment, had to see him about a shoulder problem. Called them and they sent me an email to confirm the appointment. And the title of the appointment was Old Patient, New Problem. I think that's probably a good statement about many things in my life right now. Let me pray for us. Lord, we thank you for your goodness and your mercy, for the way you have so shaped our lives that we have much for which we are grateful. I'm grateful for these elected leaders. I pray that you'd give them wisdom for their task. I'm thankful for this community and the kind of people, good people that live here together. Pray that you continue to shape us in special ways to be a community that is filled with joy and prosperity, and pray that you continue to bless those who work to keep us safe and to continue to shape this community for good. And we tonight particularly think of the mayor, who's lost her mother this week. We all gather around her in a sense to support her and just ask that you would bring her peace and bring her family peace. And we pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Harper and Councilman Miller. Announcements, presentations. I just want to briefly go over the protocol. Please silence any electronic devices that you may have. And we're not required to accept public comment on all items. We do accept them for those items that there's a public hearing, as well as at the end of the meeting there is ample opportunity for comments from citizens and delegates. We will proceed now into the first committee. No official action will be taken tonight. The things we're discussing tonight will be voting on Monday, March 19th. First committee is Public Safety Committee, and that's chaired by Councilman Sam Davis.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have a couple of items. Item A, request for a change in agent outlet manager for the alcoholic beverages license for the sale on premises consumption of wine and malt beverages and the spirits liquor at the following establishment: Licensee Luck of the Iris LLC, DBA Irish Bread Pub Restaurant, location 6682 East Broad Street. Current agent outlet manager is Brittany Wyatt. Proposed agent outlet manager LaShelly Marshall. And the required fees have been paid into our finance department. How you doing this afternoon?
Very good.
Fine. State your name and
Billie Jean Lachelle Marshall. Said the
can
address.
You come just a little closer to the mic? Thank you, ma'am.
I'm short.
Yes, ma'am.
It's Billie Jean Lachelle Marshall, and it's 6682 East Broad Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
And Councilman Adams, you want to?
Actually, Mr. Davis, I don't have any questions.
You have a question? Okay. Any other council members?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Didn't I see you on TV?
Yes, you did.
Do you have a problem with the city and the way we run
absolutely
things?
not.
All right.
They did cut off a lot of my statement, with the police officers and everything being paid for. I stated that if there was help, that we might be able to have more outdoor things and festivals and stuff if we were able to afford a little bit more outside. They kind of chopped my statement down some.
You do that.
And I did avoid them for about 3 days before. So.
Is that Fox?
No.
Oh, okay. So pardon me? So how do you go about training your employees?
We do have a written training for the alcohol.
Speak up just a little louder. Come a little closer.
Can I move
Don't
down
be
with it?
afraid. Yes, ma'am.
There you
ahead.
go. We have a paper training that goes over how to check IDs for make sure they're legal of age. Also, if they are showing signs of they need to be cut off, and they all have to have their pour permits through the state, so the city.
Now, coming up for Irish Pub Weekend, which is this coming weekend, did you let them know to check every location and everybody who's having alcohol beverages? Because it's opening for family, right?
Yes, it is. It's a family-friendly event. They are to check all IDs of anyone that is drinking.
Okay, and how many locations you gonna have?
As far as the pour,
Yes.
we have one bar downstairs, we have a bar upstairs, we have a pour trailer outside, and 2 jockey boxes outside. And everybody at those locations will be of age checking ID.
Okay. All right, thank you. Come back on Monday.
Thank you.
Okay, item B, authorize the police department to submit an application for the 2018 Georgia Homeland Security Grant to the Georgia Emergency Management Agency and authorize the mayor to sign a related document for the application or its later acceptance by the city.
Hi, I'm Sue Ann Shaw, the Deputy Chief of the Douglasville Police Department. We're requesting permission to apply for the 2018 Georgia State Homeland Security Grant Program. This program is something we've done for several years. They don't actually set you a budget for the amount of money. You just send in a request list. All the items have to be to prevent terrorism, other catastrophic events, and to prepare Georgia for the threats and hazards that pose the greatest risk to its security. So what we're asking for this year and what we've asked for in the past is SWAT equipment, protective equipment and gear, and other items the SWAT team can use in their operations. I don't have an inclusive list yet. This just came out a few days ago, and they're still developing the list. Because they don't actually set the amount ahead of time, we'll ask for everything we think we need, and they can cut the budget down to whatever they want to give us. But there's no match to the grant, so they give us some funding, and we can buy equipment.
Great. Council? If no one from the council, Madam Pro Tem, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda for Monday, and let's get this done.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Madam Pro Tem. Thank you, Deputy Chief.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Next item is Community and Economic Development Committee, and I chair that. We have 3 items. One is to appoint Emily Leitner to the Cultural Arts Council post on the City of Douglasville's Convention and Visitors Bureau Advisory Board for a 2-year term extending through December 31st, 2019.
Yes, sir. During your committee meetings, you interviewed Ms. Leitner. She would represent your post for the Cultural Arts Center on your Convention and Visitors Bureau. She is the acting director of that organization as it stands right now. She is attending those meetings on behalf of the organization.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from Mayor and Council, from the council members? No? And then if there's no objection, I'd like to put that on the consent agenda for Monday. Next item is to appoint an individual to serve as the Post 1 member of the Downtown Development Authority for a term expiring March 22nd, 2022.
I would recommend that you reappoint Ms. Elena Hudson to this Post 1 position. She served an unexpired term in this post before. It was only a few months. I think that she has served well based on staff reports, so I think that I would recommend from a staff perspective that you allow her to serve a full term in this post.
Any comments from council?
I would, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, just like to add that I do on occasion see Ms. Hudson. I visit Hudson's Hickory House occasionally with some regularity, and every time I see her, she seems to just be beaming and so excited about something that's going on within our city in some way that she could be involved. And so I think she brings a very young and refreshing and energized attitude and work ethic. Not that we don't have a number of great people already serving, but I think she'll help to keep everybody motivated, and I hope that we can reappoint her to that post. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Can we add her name to the agenda on Monday? So then when we read it, it's already there. Thank you. And the third item is to adopt an individual who may be an elected official of the city to serve as the post 7 member of the Downtown Development Authority.
We will continue discussion of elected representation on the DDA on Monday night during your committee meetings, when we hope to have the full group here, so that we can allow anyone who's interested to make their appeal to serve, so that we can vote on that on Monday night. If you choose not to vote on Monday night, we can also hold off and wait to the next round of meetings when we also have another post to vote on as well.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the council? No? Then we may take action on that on Monday. That's all we have under Community and Economic Development Committee. All right, sit back, everyone. This will take a while. Planning and Development Committee, Chairman, Councilman Mark Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. We'll begin item 7, Planning and Development Committee. We have several items that we will be taking up for a vote on Monday night. We'll begin with item 22-18-27, which was tabled from March 5th of 2018. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a variance to increase the allowed freestanding sign height of 12 feet in subsection 3.7.3.02.A5 of the zoning ordinance for a variance of 6 feet for remaining allowed sign height of 18 feet on the east side of a lot of 7.402 acres in land lot 679, District 18, Section 20, Parcel 2, application by Image Manufacturing Group. It's my understanding that there has been a letter to the city dated, I want to say, the 14th, where Image Manufacturing Group has withdrawn this application. So I did need to read it, but we will take no action on it on Monday night. Item B, consider a request for revised plat approval for Anawake Heights subdivision, Unit 1A3, for the purpose of relocating property lines between lots 29 and 30 for 1.24 acres at 8840 and 8852 Elma Street in land lot 22, District 1, Section 5B, parcels 29 and 37. Application by Judson Tibbetts on behalf of Tibbetts Land Surveying Incorporated. Is there someone here from Tibbetts? Mr. Mettler, could you help us with that, please, sir?
I apologize that, Mr. Chairman. Michael Mettler, building official, City of Douglasville, 6695 Church Street. If you'll look on the attachment for the plat, you'll see that the original line was cut through the radius of the Alma Street and straight back to a V-shaped connection with the lot behind. The swimming pool was built over a period of time, and in order to keep the property whole, the property owner owns both parcels and chose to relocate the line in order to avoid any future problems when the sale of the property came about.
My understanding, Mr. Mettler, as you've spoken, that the owner owns both properties and they just want to combine it now into one tract. Is that correct? Or no, they're actually changing the property line to correct that issue with the pool.
Yes, sir.
Still will be two
relocating the
tracts.
property line corrects that issue.
Does that create any problem as far as the, and I know the answer to this, but I want to ask it, is creating any problem as far as the size of the property by reducing one, increasing the other as far as square footage of the lot, or creating something that would
If
be?
you, actually, there's just very little net gain for the property on the left. If you'll note that the property line moved to the left from the first lot, or I want to say tract 2, and it was basically countered in the rear, so there was a little bit of gain to track 1 in that instance.
But neither track will be left in an
That is correct.
in a bad position as far as being an illegal size lot.
They're in good shape.
Got it. Thank you. Any questions of council concerning the item? Any comment from anyone in the audience concerning the item? I don't see a problem with this at all. I do know personally that the same owner does own both. They're neighbors of some of our family members. I've spoken with them I don't see any reason why we could not place this on the consent agenda if it's council's pleasure. I'll move on to item C. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a variance to reduce the required number of parking spaces of 462 in Table 4-1. Appendix B, Development Ordinance for a variance of 359 parking spaces for a remaining requirement of 103 parking spaces of a lot of 44 acres at 1551 North River Road in land lots 166, 167, 172, and 173. District 1, Section 5, Parcel 15. Application by Mark Muchmore on behalf of Cyrus One Atlanta Data Center. Someone here to represent the applicant for the public hearing. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, on our TV audience and those of you in the audience, this being a public hearing, we will be required to give the applicant, I want to say it's 30 minutes for their application. We'll also give opportunity to any individual, 5 minutes each. Ms. Vicki Acker will be keeping the time. Is that correct, Ms. Acker? Yes, 30 minutes total, 5 minutes per person. And we will allow the applicant then to state his case and his application to the group. Thank you for being here. If you would give us your name and address for the record, we would love to hear from you.
My name is David Blumenthal with Travis Pruitt & Associates. My address is 4317 Park Drive in Norcross. I'm the civil engineer working on this project. I've also got Mark Muchmore, who's representing the developer of the property.
Mark Muchmore with MGAC. We're the owner's representative for Cyrus One. My address is 730 11th Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Go ahead and give us the information.
Okay, hopefully we won't be taking up 30 minutes. As you mentioned, it's a 44-acre parcel. A lot of that parcel is occupied by floodplain and stream buffer and undevelopable. We probably have about 20 acres or so that is developable on this property. Cyrus One is proposing to build in 2 phases about a 450,000 square foot data center. The data center is going to have, about 5% of that area will be office space. Most of it is going to be occupied by the computers in the data halls and mechanical equipment to support the operation. The zoning ordinance does not have a parking criteria for a data center. The closest match to that is probably office warehouse, which for this size building would be about 462 parking spaces is what we calculated would be the requirement. Cyrus One operates about, more than 40 of these data centers around the country. Generally, they don't need more than 100 parking spaces to support the fully built-out project. They have about 15 to 25 full-time employees once it's fully built out. They can expect a peak of 70 to 80 visitors. Generally, 100 parking spaces is more than they need. What our proposal is that under phase 1 of the project, which is about 300,000 square feet of the total 450,000 square foot data center, will include 103 parking spaces. As for phase 1, as part of phase 2, we'll add another 30 parking spaces when that building goes in for a total of 133, which should give them enough extra parking to, accommodate any peak visitors that may come to this facility. The city also asked us to prepare a plan that just showed once all the mechanical equipment's removed, if this thing were to ever revert to a traditional office warehouse, how many parking spaces can we fit on there? That's what the alternate parking plan that was submitted is. And it shows that we can accommodate the full parking if that should ever become necessary. But I do want to state that it's extremely uncommon that one of these facilities is going to turn from a data center into a distribution warehouse or an office warehouse. Also, just want to add in there that the rezoning for the development that we're in, it's Ordinance O-08-062, Section 13K states the parking and loading requirements for each building shall be set by the city based upon certification of spaces needed by the user of the building in the district. And so we feel that our application is the certification that the 133 ultimate parking spaces, 103 with Phase 1 and 30 in Phase 2, is a sufficient number of parking spaces for this use.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Muchmore, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't have anything additional
Okay.
to add.
Thank you. I'm going to open the floor to the council. If you have any questions or comments of the applicant, we'll have that discussion and then see if there's anyone else that would speak on behalf of it. Any question or comment concerning this item?
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead.
This is in my district, so I'm very familiar with the location and very excited to have Cyrus One coming. So thank you for choosing Douglasville. That's all I have to add.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? I want to just clarify something, and I believe Mr. Mettler, if you'd come up for just a moment, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions and get your input here. We have talked about this, and this may be one and the same, but we'd had a discussion about this because we do in fact not have any application or any consideration given to data centers heretofore in our code, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And so this is the first time that we have had this experience or this request for this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Somewhat difficult for me to read, if you were to vacate the site as a data center, how many parking spaces would your revised plan basically give? Do you recall how many that was, Mr. Mettler? I didn't see it on there. Maybe I missed it.
They have, well, in their vacation option, which is Plan B, the last attachment to your group, they have a calculation here established at 519 parking spaces would be the total capacity.
Okay, so they could actually have 519 on the site if they just moved out and left it, and then it had to be refit for something else.
That is correct. The whole rear structure is consumed by generators and electrical modules that plug basically into the back of the building. So in the absence of a data center, all that equipment would not be necessary and would be removed.
I understand. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mettler.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else here that would have any input concerning this application speaking for it? Seeing none, is there anyone that would speak in opposition to it? This being a public hearing, we need to give opportunity for that also. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and we will take this up on Monday night for a vote. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you coming in tonight. Appreciate you coming to our city with this business. We'll go to item D. Consider a request for a revised plat approval for East River Corporation for the purpose of combining two lots for 1.043 acres at 5621 Highway 92 in land lot 52, District 1, Section 5, parcel 17 and 18, application by Ali V. Yago on behalf of Victor Tires Incorporated. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on behalf of this application? Okay. Mr. Mettler, could you help us as far as questions, please, sir? Just to fill everyone in as to where this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the location next door to the SunTrust Bank on the same side of Highway 92, where at one time we had a package store and a Taco Bell. Is that correct? Both, and
Yes, sir.
and the package store is now Victor Tires, I believe, used tires, and the adjoining lot has had the building removed. Fill us in, Mr. Mettler.
Okay, the adjoining lot, which is left to the, right side of the package store, is still present. It's boarded up and it has a silt fence placed along Highway 92. The intent, this particular structure is in violation of our building setback requirements of 50 feet as a result of DOT land taking when they expanded Highway 92. Their plan is to demolish the entire building, salvage a portion of the slab to use for future construction, and to allow for an additional 80-foot long structure that is, I think, 60 feet deep to take over the remainder of that lot. And by combining the lots, that allows them to have a drive path around the back of the building and not encroach on any of our setback requirements for landscaping.
So then basically the DOT in widening Highway 92 has left this to be a non-conforming position on the lot.
In its current state, yes, sir.
Current state, okay. Questions, comments, council? Okay. We appreciate that, Mr. Mettler. You're doing a fine job standing in there
Yeah.
for those applicants.
My last swan song, I hope.
We'll take this up on Monday night then for a vote. Thank you very much. All right, item E. Hold a public hearing for renewal of a special land use permit for a church located at 1445 Municipal Parkway in Douglasville, Georgia, land lot 735, District 18, Section 2, Parcel 8. Application by Fully Rely on God Christian Ministries. If that applicant would please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Meredith B. Farrell. My home address, 4124 High Country Drive in Douglasville, Georgia. I am the church administrator for Fully Rely on God Christian Ministries. We have been at this location 1445 Municipal Parkway for 10 years. We're renting the space, and we are just coming up for our 2-year renewal. We are requesting permanent status so that we don't have to do this every 2 years.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Is there anyone, any question council may have? Any comment? Is there any other person that would be wanting to speak on behalf of this application? Or is there anyone here that would want to speak against this application? I too would suggest that if renewed, we would definitely go to something that would correspond with the end of your lease rather than every 2 years, which we've been working on that, I know, over the last number of years so that we do not bring you in for no reason. One question I would have for Assistant Chief Shaw, have there been any instances that you are aware of, Ms. Shaw, that would cause a concern for this being renewed?
No, sir, I'm not aware of any.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing then, and we'll take this up on Monday night. Thank you very much. Next item is E. Again, we'll hold a public hearing for renewal of a special land use permit for a church located at 6304 Fairburn Road, Douglasville, Georgia, in land lot 21, District 1, Section 5C, Parcel 10. Application by Afalaki Mobilaji on behalf of Vision for Souls Outreach Center. Good evening. How are you, ma'am?
Thank you. My name is Afalaki Mobology, and I'm the pastor of Christ the Light Ministries. The building was originally owned by Vision for Souls. We bought it 16 months ago, and we're here again for renewal of the special land use permit. We're also requesting if this could become permanent so we don't have to do this every year.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Anyone here to speak? Any comment or any question of council, first of all? Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the application other than the applicant? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak against this application for renewal? Okay, thank you very much. Again, Assistant Chief Ms. Shaw, is there any reason that this should not be, or has there been any instance where we would have concern over renewing this?
No, sir, I'm not aware of any.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. We'll take this up on Monday night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item G, hold a public hearing and consider a request for special land use permit for an automotive sales and service of new and used cars for property zone CG General Commercial at 8104 Highway 92, Dallas Highway, Douglasville, Georgia, in land lot 17, District 1, Section 5C, Parcel 1. Application by Tane on behalf of Tane Holdings, LLC. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Would you give us your name and address for the record, please, sir?
Sure, yes, I will. My name is Bai Tian. My business address is 8104 Dallas Highway, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. And the current zoning of this property is general commercial, which allows for automobile service. and also broker type sales. So I'm requesting the council to request my application for a special land use permit so we can expand our service into automobile sales. And also my current tenant, although I told him it's a auto broker business, and he could not sell cars there, but he has a kind of temptation, just put a sign there. It's a kind of code violation. I have been talking with the guy, and look like he's not listening. And I'm thinking, if we get this special land use permit, the problem will be solved. My business have been investing in this property. Things we purchased this property, such as we paved the parking lot recently, which makes it now looks a little bit better and safer for the customers. With this business, we are hoping it will generate a few more jobs here, and also generate a little sales tax for the city, and also attract the visitors to other businesses in this city. So that's our motivation of keep this business like more active, more like growing. So we keep on investing in this property. We keep on improving it. So we need this kind of special land use permit to expand our business into automobile sales, and also try to avoid this kind of code violation, because if it's like a broker type sales, the tenants always have a temptation, just to sell cars there, which is not allowed. So that's our also another consideration for this request.
Okay. Do I understand, Mr. pronounce your name for me again?
Tian.
Tian.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Tian, I understand then that you have leased the property.
Yes.
And your tenant was told in advance that he could not sell automobiles on the site, retail, basically, but it would just be as a brokerage. And now that is going on, and therefore you have been given, or he has been given, a citation. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's actually, I heard that during last zoning board meeting. I didn't get any information of this violation, because I was assuming he would be compliant to the city ordinance or the regulations, because on a lease document in writing specifies its broker type service. And before we signed the lease, I told him specifically, this is broker type service. You cannot sell cars there. And he agreed. But, I live a little bit far from this place. I cannot come here every day just to watch him. But during last zoning board meeting, and I heard from the zoning gentleman, Aaron, and he brought up this issue. So I called the tenant again and emphasized, you cannot do that. He promised me so many times, and I check a couple of times. It looked like he removed his car there. So I will go check again today.
So basically then you were trying to right his wrong and make it okay for him to do that.
I try to make him not to do wrong things, because, and I also called, a zoning department, and I asked him for any updates, any more violation of the things. So I keep being, active, working with the tenants to correct the issue. And also I talked with the zoning department and the gentleman, Aaron. I said, well, my tenant made a mistake, and he admitted the mistake to me as a landlord, and he promised me not to do it again. However, his motorcycle sales is really allowed in this general commercial zoning. I said, could I just issue him like a license just sell motorcycles for time being? Before we get this special land use permit, he is not going to sell any automobiles there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Council, questions, comments?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead,
Councilman.
Mr. Davis.
Adams, I like you have done a lot of work over there, and it's looking good. And it seems that you have some good tenants. They want to paint and make it look fresh and good. Parking lot looks good. So evidently, he didn't understand that he couldn't open up. And did you let him know that he couldn't open up until he get all this paperwork?
Yeah, I committed to him several times. Again, today I will go there to check again. I see, really he has cracked that violation. And, if not, I might think of, just evict him, just get rid of this kind of, code violation, because I repeatedly, remind him not to do this thing. But I will check today.
The only thing he has is just a lease from you. That's it. Do you have anything from the city, a permit, business permit, or anything?
Actually, for the general commercial, I have a zoning document which statement I can give you a copy, which shows what can be done there, what cannot be done there. As I said, the automobile broker is allowed, but sales not allowed there. Motorcycle sales is allowed. Yeah, I can give you this document.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, that's
Circle there. I was just trying to see if he had a business license.
Oh, business license. That's a topic I also need to discuss here. He keeps on telling me the zoning department just reject his business license for whatever. So whatever he does, I think the gentleman called Aaron just reject. I called Aaron. I said, well, automobile sales is not allowed before this special land use permit is approved by the council. However, his business of selling motorcycle is legal. It's in this zoning document, specifically saying motorcycle sales is okay. And then the tenant is selling motorcycles there. And also he's thinking of doing a tire shop. And he said, Aaron said, no matter what you do, I'm not going to approve anything, absolutely nothing. And I called Aaron also, to confirm. He told me the same story. I said, that's a little bit too stretch, because automobile sales is not allowed. He valid the thing, but he's not doing something different, like a motorcycle sales, like tires. And these businesses are totally legal, totally compliant. You definitely need to give him a business license instead of holding, just reject everything. So that's the second topic.
So in other words, his business license was rejected?
Yeah, rejected totally for 20 days, almost 1 month already. It's just holding there, deadlocked there, not moving anywhere. I mean, I really cannot understand what Aaron is doing there.
Other comments, questions? Is there anyone else here to speak on behalf of this application in support of it? If not, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Come down, please, sir. Sir, if you'd state your name and address for the record, please, sir, and have you filled out the documentation?
I was going to fill it out when I leave. They said I could fill it out.
That'll be fine. Thank you very much.
Travis Johnson, 5015 Old National Highway. I'm the gentleman who's renting this, leasing the spot. I forgot your name, I'm sorry. I'm renting a spot from my understanding, they told us, well, he told me that we can do the brokers thing over there. Never was I selling cars over there. It was one time my wife came through and she had a for sale sign on the car. The car was there for, 30, 40 minutes or so. And that's probably when I think they seen the for sale sign inside the car and assuming I was selling cars. But prior to talking to him, he said there was already licenses there that I can pretty much operate. Certain licenses I don't need that I don't have to go down there to get because they was already at the building. Like it used to be a tire shop. That was there. From my understanding, it used to be a tire shop and like general mechanic repairs or whatever. We've been put the paperwork in a long time ago. But from my understanding, the reason why we can't move forward is because of his application. They said because he's the owner, so why it affects me, I don't know. But they said they wasn't accepting anything until after his hearing. Meanwhile, I had to give him $4,000 for rent and security deposit. It's $2,000 a month. So, but I can't do nothing there. They won't give me no license. I can't operate. And and he wants money again, $2,000. Like, this would be a total of $6,000, but from my understanding, they won't accept my license because of what he has going on with you guys.
So then you, sir, are here speaking against this application for his special land use permit to be approved?
I'm not speaking against it.
Let's just make sure that, because I asked for comment
Okay.
in response to the application against.
Okay, I
So
got
let's
up a
make
little
sure.
slow. I apologize.
It's okay,
It's
let's
my
just make
first
sure
time
that we
here.
don't have you tabulated as speaking against.
Okay,
So
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So that's pretty much it. And since I can't really sell no cars, I'm trying to think of something to do to try to, to get some income in, because everything is going out, and I don't have it like that, to be at a spot and pay $4,000 and $2,000 is due right now, and that's like, 2 months, and I can't make $5 because I got to wait for his application.
Okay.
And I don't think it's fair to me that the lease should really start, or I should really be paying when I can't do nothing, when they saying you're the reason why I can't operate.
Okay.
So I need my business license.
I would suggest, sir, that is not something that the city is going to step into the middle of, which would be an agreement between a
Okay.
lessee and a lessor.
Okay.
And that's between you and the owner of the property.
Okay, all right.
What we're here to do is to consider a special land use permit for the property,
Okay.
for the permit that has been requested. And that's what we're discussing now. We will take this up on Monday night for a vote. Have no idea at this moment what we will do. But I would suggest that you two need to get
I got
together
you.
and work
Okay.
out
Well,
whatever.
I just wanted to clear it up a little bit, because I heard him mention, a few times that he told me what to do several times, and I didn't do it. Not one time did I sell a car.
I see. Okay.
That's it. Let y'all know that I'm doing what I got to do over there.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Are we allowed to give the applicant additional time? He's not used his 30 minutes, is that correct? Is that okay? Mr. Tam, we'll hear you again, as long as it's new information.
Yeah, new information.
Let me say this, in
just
the essence of time, let me say this. We're not here to negotiate,
No.
to help you in negotiations with a tenant, nor a tenant with you.
No.
Okay, that's not the purpose of this meeting. So
No,
that's what you're going to go into again. I'm not going to allow that.
No, totally, I'm not argue with anything. I just want to clarify a little things regarding his business license. As I said, what he's doing is like an auto broker and his auto service and his motorcycle. This business is totally allowed in this general commercial zone already. I really recommend the council or zoning department to approve his business license application, because his business license application has absolutely nothing to do with this special land use permit application. They are totally two separate matters. One matter is my special land use permit for auto sales. That's me. That's my business and my matter. And his application for auto broker business, auto service, motorcycle, that's allowed already in this zone. Has nothing to do with this. So totally two separate matters. But the zoning department, I think the gentleman area is new. Somehow he just linked this together wrongly, totally wrongly. So he just approve his license, so get his in this kind of miserable situation.
I must say, Mr. Ten, that you're confusing the issue as far as I'm concerned, because it sounds as though to me you now are asking us to approve a special land use permit for you to sell automobiles there, but the business user of the property with a business license is going to be doing something totally different.
Yes.
I'm very confused that is the angle that you want to approach this. I don't quite understand how you would not see that the business license holder on the property, using the property, would not need to match up with the actual use of the property.
Well,
I'm confused about that.
Yeah, let me clear up. This
You just stated it. There's no clarification you need to make. You just stated it.
Maybe so I correct myself.
Okay.
So this special land use permission is additional thing to this kind of property. It's additional, right? So the current general zoning, general commercial allows broker office. That's this gentleman is doing, and his application for the business license was holding up for such a long time, because they connect this to my special land use permit, which is just additional thing, and that's my application has nothing to do with the tenants.
Okay.
So that's all.
Okay.
Do you understand now?
Thank you.
Do you better now?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in opposition to this application? Any other comment of council or question?
Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
I know this came before us once before for a special land use permit for the sale of automobiles, and at that time, we rejected it because there was concern about automobiles being parked on site for sale, being parked over the septic system.
I was going to get to that. Go ahead. Yes,
Go ahead.
continue. No, you go
I'll
ahead.
let you get to that.
You started. You go ahead. I'm glad you brought it up.
So if this application is actually, once again, to sell cars, and there will be cars on the premises, in addition to another tenant doing a brokerage service.
Then are we in any different situation than
Exactly.
we were last year?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Mettler, could you help us with that just a moment, please? The question had been asked concerning some other matters that needed to be addressed on the property. And I believe our concern was because it's on a septic tank and because the applicant had asked to sell automobiles on the property, the WSA needed to be involved as far as the servicing of that tank and the lines, the location of the lines, making sure that they were not being parked on the lines, anything like that. Do you know of anything, Mr. Mettler, that has changed or any involvement that the WSA has had concerning the correction of those items or the information having been provided to us?
Okay, the concern is actually through the public health department in our community. They are the ones that regulate septic systems. I would like to draw your attention to the final attachment in this packet that has a legal description. The second page actually has a plat of the property showing the location of the structure. There are very few places on this plat that will accept a septic tank and still be in compliance with the health department's requirements of not allowing any structure or parking to be placed on top of not only the tank but also the drain field. So in the absence of knowing where that tank is, and this came up once before, that it had to be located in order to give thoughtful consideration for the placement of automobiles on this lot. That has not been satisfied to this date.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mettler.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tien, I just wanted to make this comment. We are not here at all to cause you problems in using your property. But what I don't want this body to do is to potentially approve a special land use permit for you, and then you have a tenant come in and begin operation, or you decide to sell used automobiles there, and then you have a problem with the septic tank and the Water Sewer Authority gets involved, and then it appears that we were not knowledgeable and did not know everything that we needed to know in making our decision, okay? So having said that, the information that Mr. Mettler has provided, the information that your potential tenant has provided, and your information, we will take that all under consideration. I would like for this body to be able to compare the application that you brought in and the lease that you have with your tenant to see, in fact, what the use is, because we're going to base the use on what that business license application is for, and it has to be conforming in order for us to approve a business license. Mr. Aaron Ruffin has not, in my opinion, has not done anything wrong. He's trying to get everyone's ducks in a row, for lack of a better term. So if you'll come back on Monday night, if you can provide us with that information, that may help. Anyone else?
For the septic tank, before the paving, because when they pave the yard, they use heavy equipment, like several tons and like a big roller. I was concerned about septic tank, so I requested the paving contractor, to locate the septic tank to avoid any damage during the paving, because they dug up the old stuff and put the new stuff, and they use heavy equipment. So they use their old like equipment to detect septic tank. They said that the septic tank is really behind the building, and then the paving area was safe to pave. So he showed me like equipment showing that's in the back of building, and also septic tank need like a soil to filter to filter the sewer. So that makes sense to me. It's in the back of building, so it's not in a paving ground. If it's on a paving ground, you cannot pave it over the septic tank. That's
That
common.
is correct.
Yeah,
But
that's
you're-
common.
But you're not on sewer, you're on septic tank.
Huh?
You're not on sewer. You mentioned sewer. You're not on sewer, you're on septic
No,
tank.
septic tank, yes. I asked him to locate where the septic tank is. He said it's in the back of the building, so it's off the parking lot. He said it's not on the parking lot. It's in the back of the building.
But we don't have any way of verifying that. You've not provided the information that we requested in our last application that we needed as far as septic tank location and location of tank and lines, and making sure that that tank was in good working order in order for that business to be approved to go there. In other words, we don't even know if there is a tank on site. We know the waste is going somewhere, but our request in the last application was locate the tank, make sure it's working properly, and bring that information in. And that was one of the sticking points that we had in our last application with you on this same property last year. Okay?
Okay.
Any other question or comment? We'll close the public hearing if not, and we will take that up on Monday night. Last item. Hold a public hearing to request and consider a change in zoning from DCD Design Concept Development District with a base zone of R4 Single Family Detached and Attached Townhouse and Apartment Residential District to a DCD amendment with a base zone of R4 for consideration of a 25-foot stream buffer and a 125-foot centerline curve radius for roadway on property located at 0 Creekside Drive in land lot 193/224, District 2, Section 5, Parcel 2. Application by Nathan Adrian on behalf of KDG Properties, LLC. How are you all this evening, gentlemen?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
Good, thanks.
I'm Nathan Adrian with Southeastern Engineering on behalf of the property owner. We're here tonight to kind of clear up some permitting issues that we had. The property was initially permitted for a clearing and grading and utility installation permit around 2006. A lot of that land disturbance activity had taken place, and storm sewer structures were put in, sanitary sewers were put in, and even a very large stream crossing across Mill Creek. I think it's 3 72-inch pipes that run across there. So we've kind of, and since then it's probably sat for the last 10 years, most likely, because of the economy. And so we're trying to pick back up and get new permits. So a couple of the issues we ran across of needing some variances, specifically for a 200-foot minimum curve radius for the roads. And that's in order to allow us to tie into the existing structures that are out there and to meet that stream crossing so that we don't have to go back and tear up all those infrastructure that was put in and to move the stream crossing. That was all permitted through the Corps of Engineers and was mitigated for. And so we kind of tried to avoid trying to, redoing all that work again. So we took and as-built all the information and recreated the site plan based on that information, and we're just asking to add that site plan in and to build the neighborhood as it kind of originally was intended. We also met with the Golden United Methodist Church last night, a group of those folks last night, and kind of filled them in on what we're planning on doing out there and moving forward with the project. And we kind of negotiated they'd like a trail system to connect between the neighborhood and their property and the park that kind of lies to the east there as well. And we're very amicable to do that, and maybe even give them an access easement agreement if so necessary. So any questions I'd be glad to answer.
Okay. Questions, comments, council? We have some disagreements on what we have loaded here on some of our attachments. So I want to make sure that I understand we're reducing our setback away from a creek, the stream buffer, and we're reducing the curvature radius in order to meet development standards that I guess are set by the state. I believe our would these be any different than what the state requirements are? Basically, we're going back to what was originally planned for that and what the state required.
Yes, we're maintaining the 25-foot state buffer, and we're not going to get into that or touch it. Unfortunately, the way that the stream crossing was put in and the way the curve of the road, if we would have to move that and abide by the 50-foot and 25-foot impervious setbacks, the curve wouldn't allow us to cross that stream at that point. So that structure would have to be completely removed and disturbed and all that. So I think that's kind of the major reason why we're requesting to reduce the stream buffer.
Okay. Any question of council? Is there anyone else here to speak on behalf of the application? This being a public hearing, as we've already spoken. Is there anyone here? Are you speaking in favor of, sir? Yes. Okay, thank you. Come forward.
Good evening, council. My name is Herbert Humphrey. I'm the civil engineering consultant for Golden Memorial United Methodist Church. And I'm here to just thank KDG Properties for coming out and taking time to explain the project, and also to work with us, work with the church and the community and establishing relationships to allow trails and things to be developed for future use so that the community can engage in the future home of the multi-purpose center that Golden Memorial is currently proposing to construct. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Any other comment, any other input in favor of the application? Please come forward. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. My name is Lenora Rowley, and I'm at 7143 Creeksong Drive. And I still have a question on exactly where this is, because I got a notice from the city that this was going to be done, and that I was one of the properties that was going to be affected. And I still need to know where this is going to be, how close that is to me, and where they're going to be building, what is going to be building.
What is your address, ma'am?
7143 Creeksong Drive.
Creeksong, okay. Can someone, we do not have anything really loaded that gives us a lot of information on the location. So we'd like to, if we could help. This is in the Chicago Park development, which will be on the right as you go out Chicago Avenue across from the county maintenance facility at present. And it is in one of the phases there. So maybe Ms. Wright can help us with that, ma'am.
This is Michelle Wright, Planning Department, City of Douglasville. This property is a large property, so all adjoining property owners were notified. So anyone that touched this property was notified of this. She is not in the area that is affected, and we did show her a plan on that when she went before the zoning board, and for her property. However, it is a large piece of property owned by one owner, and all property owners were notified. And what did you say your address?
7143 Creeksong.
Yeah, it's 7143 Creeksong Drive. She was notified. And I do have the tax assessors here. If you'd like to, I don't know if you'd like to see it, but she is one of the adjoining property owners. You can see it's a large.
Yes, ma'am.
And all the property owners that touched it were notified. However, her property is not in the location of where this is being done.
But possibly one of the lots to be developed may back up to her or may abut her property in some way?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Just in the same development, different phase?
No, same development, a different phase. The other phases are done.
Yes.
But it is one piece of property.
Yes.
And we're required to notify all adjacent property owners. So it is being done up in this area, and she is, let me show you, where is Creeksong Drive? She is actually right here, and it's over on this side.
So the development would not pass her residence as they do the development for this last phase of that subdivision. It would not pass her as far as coming or going or bringing in equipment or anything like that. Okay.
Okay, I was sent a notice. I would like to know where this is going to be, in relationship to me. Otherwise, why would they send me anything saying that I was one of the ones affected?
Ms. Wright?
As I stated, it's a large piece of property. It has several phases in it, and even though it's a large piece of property, anyone that touches the property, which your lot's right there, it touches the property line, needs to be notified. Any adjacent property owners that touch the property have to be notified, and you're one of probably 20. No, over here is the area that's being built, okay? Over this, and your property is over.
Ms. Wright,
Yeah.
I think the confusing thing that you're saying is adjacent property owner. So my question is going to be on her behalf, does the development of this phase touch her property?
No, it does not.
Okay, then that she would not be an adjacent property owner then, correct?
She would not be adjacent property owner to this phase only. It is a large parcel, and she is actually right over here.
Ma'am?
Okay, but not for this phase, no.
So then the word adjacent may not fit here. She is a property owner within Chicago Park, but not an adjacent property owner to this particular phase.
That is correct.
Thank you.
One other question on that. You did mention Creeksong Drive, so therefore, if it is Creeksong Drive, and how can I not be affected if I am on Creeksong Drive?
You're on Creeksong Drive. However, your property, as you go in there, it cul-de-sacs, and it does not connect to this property. You have a cul-de-sac, and it does not connect.
Ms. Hampton, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. I think it might be easier, since we have the developer here, that following the meeting, if they wouldn't mind speaking with the concerned citizens, so she can have firsthand knowledge rather than at the podium.
Great idea. Thank you
So,
very
Mr.
much.
Chairman, she has a letter also, so explain more to her about her letter that she received.
Would that be okay with you, ma'am, if we allowed the developer to actually speak directly with you to show you on paper, on the plats, how you may or may not be connected or not connected?
That's what I need.
Because I don't have one in front of me, and I'm looking at an 8.5 by 11 there that I can't tell a lot about it. So if that would work, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, look.
Is there anyone, pardon?
Who has this?
Gentleman right behind you. Is there anyone else here to speak then in opposition to this application? Gentlemen, would you all be willing to do that with her?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Last week, and I thought she understood where.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anything else? I'll close the public hearing on this item, and we'll take it up on Monday night. I'm sorry, did you have something else,
No, sir.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem? If I'm not mistaken, that completes the work under planning and zoning.
Fine work it was.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Next committee is Parks and Recreation. That's chaired by Councilman Chris Watts.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We have no business tonight in Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. Next up is Finance Committee, and that's chaired by Councilman Mark Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We will open Finance Committee. We have two items to discuss. First is adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's fiscal year 2017-2018 splashed fund budget. Ms. Callen is coming forward to help us with that. We did discuss this in committees tonight, and we'll have her give a general overview of that amendment upcoming. Thank you.
Karen Callen, Finance Director for the City of Douglasville. This is our second splost budget amendment. The total budget amendment is for $20,966,511. And as a committee chair mentioned, we did discuss this in detail during our committee meeting at 5 o'clock. So I'll just go over some of the projects that we're amending this budget for. Parking lot expansion at the Police Administration Building, our fire EMS portion per the intergovernmental agreement for service delivery. Sanitation building, an old courthouse square building. City Hall and renovations at City Hall and the old Conference Center Annex. We are adopting a budget for a SPLOST program management for facilities, transportation, and parks. Landscape improvement plans throughout the city, streetlights, Douglas Boulevard resurfacing, and beautification. We have a budget adopted for JD Park renovations and the JD Park building, a town green project, and a Hunter Park maintenance shed. We do have the itemized listing of these projects loaded on your agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Callen. And as I mentioned, we did discuss this in committee, and I was talking with our city manager after that committee meeting today. I think we're in a good position as far as the amount of contingencies that we have reserved in each of these, because as it stands, we have percentages of our SPLOST revenues that we have tied to various departments, but we don't have specific and tight estimates or contracts on some of these. Some of them are in progress. Some of them were finished. Some of them were not started yet. So good job. I appreciate that. Any question or comment further for Ms. Callen concerning this? Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Item B, authorize the mayor to sign an option agreement with the Douglas County Board of Commissioners for the city's purchase of the former jail property at 6856 West Church Street. Ms. Littlefield?
Mr. Chairman, I've talked with the county attorney, and after a couple of drafts, we've worked out all matters with regard to form, and it's ready to be approved.
Okay. Thank you very much. You have that downloaded as an attachment on your pad here, and we will take that up on Monday night to authorize the mayor to go forward with that. Any question or comment at this time? Seeing none, Mr. Pro Tem, that is all that I have under finance tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. May come back to you again later tonight because you're doing such a great job. Next committee is Information Technology Committee, which is chaired by Councilman Terry Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We have no business at this time.
Thank you, sir. Next item is Maintenance and Sanitation Committee. Chairman Mike Miller is absent. Vice Chairman is Mark Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We have 3 items tonight under Maintenance and Sanitation. We need to authorize the mayor to sign a First Amendment to agreement with Clifford Weatherstone to extend the term of the parties' agreement of May 1, 2016 for building cleaning services on a month-to-month basis. Yes, Ms. Sampson.
Our cleaning agreement with Mr. Featherstone ends at the end of April. We are required to give him a 60-day notice, so we're a little short of the 60 days. So in order for us to properly do that, we would like to extend the agreement. We would also like to present other options to you through the budget process. So this will give us time to prepare to present those options to you over the next couple weeks.
Okay. We'll take that up on Monday night then. Item B, authorize the mayor to sign a maintenance agreement. I'm sorry, let's back up. If there's not a problem with that in that process, then I'd like to place this on the consent agenda. Item B, authorize the mayor to sign a maintenance agreement with Schindler Elevator Corporation for service on the elevator at the Public Safety and Municipal Court Building. Mr. Roberts, are you going to enlighten us on that, sir?
Yes, sir. This is just a general routine maintenance we have. That is a Schindler elevator, and we have stayed with that contractor throughout the life of the building so far, even though it's a young building. But that's a profession that we need to leave in their field. City attorney has reviewed the agreement, and this item is budgeted and will be budgeted for FY19 as well.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Any reason why, is there any question of Mr. Roberts concerning this?
I got
Yes,
one
Mr.
question.
Mayor
What
Pro Tem.
is this for 1 year renewal?
This is for a multi-year, but it has a 30-day get out, and as with any agreement that we would have, and Ms. Littlefield can explain that further if you had questions, but it's typical of every agreement that we make. This one has a more specific clause that gets us out quicker if we needed to, but I don't know of any reason we'd want to.
It's just, my thinking is if we approve this, then when will the next time be that it comes before us for renewal is all I was asking.
Probably 2028.
2028. I don't think I'll be here then. Thank you. No other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Could we place that on the consent agenda, please? Item C, authorize the Garland Company Incorporated to repair the City Hall roof with a cost range of $60,000 to $85,000 and wall restoration with a cost range of $35,000 to $48,000 for an estimated total cost of $133,000. Mr. Roberts?
If you recall, we had Mr. Britt Grisham come out about a month ago or so, and he gave us a fairly lengthy presentation in council committee for some repairs to City Hall, and I believe all of you were in attendance. He gave us a great presentation. We didn't get a lot of questions from that, so we're wanting to move forward with that. This is to repair the barrel roof over what was at one time the theater, where the administrative offices are at City Hall, and then this gives us the ability to do some exterior repairs on the 3 sides of the building of City Hall at 6695 Church Street.
We did see a budget amendment just a few moments ago that Ms. Callen shared with us concerning SPLOSH funds and monies there on that amendment to cover the cost of these items. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any question or comment?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This is construction, so we'll need to rephrase this as authorizing the mayor to sign 2 different contracts with Garland to stay under the $100,000 bidding requirement.
We will need to have that rewritten into on Monday night in order for us to take action on it, correct? Okay. Is that noted, Ms. Hampton? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. We appreciate it.
Quick question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Miller. I apologize.
What's the warranty on this roof repair project?
It's with Garland. They're a manufacturer of those materials, and they will be the holder of the warranty.
How long is it for?
I believe this one is 10 years on the barrel roof. Yes, 10 years.
Thank you.
I had one question I didn't see on the paperwork. Is Garland located locally now? Is there an office for Garland local in our area at all?
Garland actually will not be doing the work. You want me to step up?
Sure, please. Yes, I didn't realize that you were representing them. Just give us your name and address for the record, sir, and we'd love to hear from you.
Britt Grisham with the Garland Company, and actually our business address is in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right, go ahead and give it to us.
It's actually not on my business card. My home address is on my business card, but I can give that to you at a later point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the Garland Company is a manufacturer, and if this budget was approved, then my next step is to invite Garland-approved contractors, which would be locally. The contractors will be doing the work.
Gotcha. Okay.
There'll be no agreement with you, with Garland?
Well, I sent Mr. Roberts the general agreement. We would act as the GC. So there would be an agreement as far as our responsibilities. Once you sign the contract with us, which would be through U.S. Communities, it would be through that agreement, and that's held through Cobb County.
The agreement, please.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm assuming based on Mr. Miller's question about the warranty, that the 10-year warranty with Garland would be for materials
It would be for the whole job. It's a leak-free warranty. So if you had a leak 9 years into your 10-year warranty, we're a full-service manufacturer. So we own that warranty.
Okay. So I wasn't sure if local contractors doing the work affected that. Okay.
I'm going to require that they have a 2-year workmanship warranty. Then after that expires, then you get 10 years. So really, actually, what you're getting is a 12-year leak-free warranty.
And that's fairly standard. We have some other roofs that have a Firestone warranty, Firestone being the manufacturer. A local contractor installed it, but that contractor could go out next week. Firestone is the company that stands behind every aspect of that warranty.
Thank you.
And it'd be the same with Garland.
Exactly.
Thank you. Appreciate that information. We'll take that up on Monday night then. And that's all that I have, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Next item is Transportation Committee. Chairperson is Dr. LaShawn Verdanley, who is absent. Vice Chair is Mr. Mike Miller, who is absent. So I'm going to ask Committee Member Chris Watts if he can handle this for us.
I think I can handle it. We have no business tonight on the Transportation Committee, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. Next item is Personnel and Organization Committee, and I'm going to kick that over to the Vice Chairman, Mr. Chris Watts. Sorry, I forgot to tell you I was going to do that. That's Personnel and Organization.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. We have 2 items tonight under Personnel and Organization Committee. Item A, adopt a resolution approving a job description for Assistant City Clerk and 1 job slot for this position in the City Clerk's Department. And B under that item is elimination of one job slot for executive assistant in the city clerk's department. And C under that item, a revised organizational chart for the city clerk's department. And then D under that item, a revised pay schedule for the city of Douglasville. And I see Ms. Tia Alston up front. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Tia Alston, being Human Resources Director for the City of Douglasville. For item A, we are seeking approval to adopt a job description for the Assistant City Clerk and one job slot for Assistant City Clerk, as well as an updated org chart for the Clerk's Department. We are also seeking to eliminate the job slot for the Executive Assistant position, also in the Clerk's Department, and to update the city's pay schedule. And so this is the direction that we would like to move forward in with your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Alston. Any questions or comments from council? All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Alston. Is this something that we would put on the, okay, we'll put this on the consent agenda for Monday. And then item B, adopt an ordinance to amend section 5-15 of the Personnel Policies and Procedure Ordinance to require prompt notice of payroll disputes. Ms. Alston.
Yes, sir. For item B, is to require prompt notice of payroll disputes, as you stated. So I'll just provide an overview. Section 5-15, number 1, states that all department heads should notify the HR director of any actions that require any wage adjustments. Number 2 requires each employee to review his payroll report for accuracy prior to the deadline, and that salary employee should notify the HR director of any inaccuracies concerning leave time usage. It also requires employees to sign their approval or electronically approve their payroll report, or they can decline to sign the payroll report. If they do decline it, the employee must respond within 10 working days of his intent to file a grievance with myself contesting it, and grievance procedures are also included in this proposal. I can address any questions if you have them regarding that item.
Any questions? Yes, just curious, Ms. Alston, maybe I missed something. Are we having issues in this area that have prompted us to now have to go to this?
Yes, we've had a few issues, and so we just want to clarify what our ordinance says and expound on that, so that that everyone is following the instructions.
To add on to that question, since we didn't have this in place, have those issues been able to be resolved?
Well, let me just say that we aren't having a lot of issues. I wouldn't say a lot. We have had some occasions come up, and we also have an electronic approval process that most employees weren't aware of that with our current software. So it's just easier, less paper for them to go in and approve electronically if they choose to do so. So that's what's included in this ordinance. So
good.
I don't want you all to think that we're having a lot of issues, but it has come up and questions have come up. So I just want to have it basically clear in this ordinance so that employees will know what to do.
Thank you, Ms. Alston. Anything else? Any other comments? Is this something we would entertain putting on the consent agenda? Okay, sure will. Thank you, Ms. Alston. Mr. Pro Tem, we have no other business under Personnel and Organization.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Next item is Ordinances and Intergovernmental Committee. The chairman is Councilman Mike Miller, who is absent. The vice chairman is Dr. LaShawn Berdanley, who is absent. So I will ask committee member Sam Davis to take this on.
Ma'am, Pro Tem, no items at this time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Move on to the next item. Education and Training Committee is chaired by Councilman Sam Davis.
Yes, sir. At this time, there's no training or education being set forth. No items at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Communications Committee is Chairman Sam Davis.
No items at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do any members of the council have other business to bring forward at this time? Hearing none, we will move on to City Attorney Joel Dodson.
No business, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Chief Assistant City Attorney Susan Littlefield.
No business, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Deputy Chief of Police Sue Ann Shaw.
No business, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. City Manager Marcia Hampton.
No business, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
My favorite part now is comments from citizens and delegates. At this time, we invite any citizens or delegates who are present to come forward and make their comments. You will need to fill out the form that the city clerk has, and you're limited to 5 minutes. The floor is now open to any citizens who wish to speak. Hearing none, we will close comments from citizens and delegates. Are there any staff reports? Thank you, madam. At this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel matters.
So moved.
Any second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.